Nothing says Roaring Twenties like the Great Gatsby. This iconic work introduced us to Daisy and James. They wined and dined on decadently delicious cuisine, giving rise to finger foods. Yes, finger foods that were eaten as the main meal. We are emotionally captured by these two as their relationship is acted out across tables laden with deviled eggs, pastry pigs, caviar, Oyster Rockefeller, salmon mousse, stuffed mushrooms, and lemon cakes with tea. Dig deep into the author's sensibilities and you elucidate the symbolism food plays in relationships. A relationship of having it all, an abundance of food for the taking, but not being able to have that one thing for which you long, the love of your life. In the Roaring 2021, be mindful of the symbols that you, your ideas, and your vision play as others observe you. What you say and do casts a lasting impression and drives the behaviors of those observing you. Leaders at every level must remember success is abundant and it is possible. Act with intention and congruence, and others will partake in the feast. Sam, what say you about finger foods?
Thanks, Twiana. When thinking about foods of the Roaring Twenties, I think of a famous appetizer. Oysters Rockefeller was created at the famous Antoine's restaurant in New Orleans by his wife, Jules. There was a shortage of French snails, so she created Oysters Rockefeller. She named the dish after a famous wealthy man named John D. Rockefeller because of their green-colored sauce and extremely rich flavor. It was said that this dish was as rich as Rockefeller himself. I don't know about that. So how did the appetizer grow in such popularity in the Roaring Twenties? This was the perfect snack during gatherings where people would watch awesome performances like the Great Gatsby. People would sit and enjoy their roaring Rockefeller oysters while enjoying some great entertainment. After a tough 2020, I know we all feel the need to push as hard as possible to grow our businesses or progress at our jobs. However, Oyster Rockefeller teaches us a lesson that we must have balance by slowing down to enjoy life's richest taste and some quality entertainment in our roaring 2021. What are your thoughts, Matt?
Thanks, Sam. I love this topic because going out and eating appetizers and finger foods with friends and colleagues is one of my favorite things to do. I had no idea that our tradition of eating finger foods came from the Roaring Twenties. They were developed so that we could eat socially while enjoying people's company at speakeasies. And one of my favorite foods is eggs, and I was delighted to learn that deviled eggs was one of the finger foods that was created at that time. I love going out to restaurants and working my way through an appetizer menu, and during the pandemic, I really missed that. In fact, the other day I went out for the first time in a long time with a client. Since we're both vaccinated, we headed out to enjoy Cinco de Mayo and had nachos and guacamole and jalapeno poppers and queso fundido. It felt just like we were at a speakeasy. It was crowded and noisy and a lot of people having fun. And it's great that we're at the point in the recovery from the pandemic where we can start to go out safely and enjoy activities like eating finger foods with colleagues at bars and restaurants. And I'm already planning more outings. This is definitely one of the ways that I will be enjoying the Roaring 2020s. Kimberly?
Thanks, Matt. Wow, let's talk of all this yummy food. These finger foods are making me hungry. So as a person who loves to cook and entertain and to create the power of connection over breaking bread, I regularly throw a cocktail party at an American institution thanks to the 1920s. My home cocktail parties always feature a themed cocktail for the evening, connected conversations, eclectic music, and of course, indulgent, tasty finger foods. Now, in full transparency, cocktail parties were around way before the 1920s, but it was really the rise of the underground speakeasies because of the banning of alcohol that gave the home cocktail party new momentum. It was a great way to have an intimate dinner party with your closest friends and, of course, drink. Finger foods really became the feature food at both of these venues because hosts want to ensure that the guests did not get inebriated, and it allowed the guests to truly socialize with a drink in one hand and a yummy finger food in the other. So what is the staple finger food at my house parties? robust stuffed portobello mushrooms. A big portobello mushroom stuffed with 2 kinds of cheese, lots of garlic, spinach, and a little hint of savory bacon. Through the past year, we all have developed a new appreciation and gratitude for the ability to truly experience in-person energy and the shared experiences of drinking and eating together, and the realization that it can never, ever be replaced by a virtual platform. So let's bite into the savory Oysters Rockefeller, cheesy stuffed mushrooms, gooey deviled eggs with the memory of shared conversations of bonding and laughter over shared experiences. Remember too, as we are approaching the midpoint of this year, to not take these special moments for granted, to be authentic and intentional in our energy, our conversations, and our effort to truly create trusting relationships. Cheers to seeing you at the local watering hole.